This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning and good evening, all. Hope you are able to see my screen.
Sir, Ahmed here. Why that link changed today? And there was no email communication from Capital Info to all people.
There was an issue with the email ID. That's what I know. I'm not very sure why the communication is. We can call them and check about this communication. Okay. Right. Right. So today is the first day of the integration session. We are going to just have introduction to integration topic today. Okay. And right, I will tell you when the next session, at the end of the session today, I will tell you when you are going to connect next. Maybe, okay. Tomorrow morning, you are going to connect my time, Sunday. But anyway, let's people join all people so that I will inform at the end of the session. Right. Right. What is the key objective of the integration course? The key objective of the integration course is to learn about how you can how you can uh, interact with other system from Salesforce. Okay, so we are going to interact with the other system from Salesforce, and how will you let other system to interact with the Salesforce? Right, there are two ways the systems are interacting with each other. Okay, in general, if you take any right, when you say integration, say I have a e-com site. Say for example, I'm in Amazon, trying to make the payment. Okay, I'm buying the product. I'm trying to make the payment from my bank account. Everyone is able to hear my voice? I hope I'm able to hear my voice. If
Yes,
some
yes,
of you
sir.
are not able to hear me, you can log off. Yeah, you can log off and log in back and see. Right. So from Amazon, I'm trying to make the payment through my bank account. So Amazon is a different system. Okay, Amazon is a different system. I say server one, and STFC is a different system, server two. Right. So these two systems are communicating to each other. Right. The process, how these two systems are communicating to each other, the process we call it as integration. Integrating the two systems. Right. Please put mute from your side, all of you. Right. Right. We are integrating the two system. Right. Integration is nothing but communicating two system and sharing the information. Okay. Sharing the technology, sharing the data, sharing the informations is nothing but the integration. So the key objective of the course, the key objective of the course is to learn how we can integrate two different systems. Okay, one is going to be a Salesforce, right? One is going to be a Salesforce, but this is a generic example. When you say two systems are integrated to each other, when two different systems communicating to each other, it's called as integration. Okay, so if you take an if you take an ATM application, so I'm going to withdraw the money from SBI ATM, and I'm using IDBI card. Okay, I'm going to withdraw money from SBI ATM by using IDBI card. So two different banks, right? Two different banks. They're going to communicate each other. They're going to transfer the information, right? So when you use the card in your ATM, SBI ATM bank, then SBI will request an IDBI system, okay, and share your and card number and say whether this number is authenticated customer, then you will get the balance, then you will share the details to the IDBI bank. Then that's how the money is being transferred between the two banks. So when two different systems are communicating to each other, we are going for integration, the concept called integration, right? We are just covering seeing the basics now, right? Is there any integration we already come across in our Salesforce platform? Is there any integrations we already come across in your regular Salesforce platform? We have used data loader, right? The data loader is a tool built with help of Java. It's a Java based tool, right? A data loader is basically a client side application. A data loader is a client side application we build. Okay, so Salesforce has built that application, and we are using this Java based tool to interact with the Salesforce database. Am I right? So we interact with the Salesforce database. So data loader is trying to interact with the Salesforce database. So basically, it is a tool already built by the Salesforce to interact with the Salesforce. So this is a kind of integration with the help of tool. Okay, so the integrations, we are not going to write any code here to interact with the Salesforce. The tool is already built. So the integration, a solution, how to connect two different systems, right? How to connect two different systems? We can connect two different systems. We can connect two different systems in terms of providing a solution in two form. Okay, you take a Salesforce will provide the solution in two ways always, right? We provide the solution to the problem in two ways. One is without involving coding, another with the coding. So integrations, two systems can be integrated to each other declaratively and programmatically. Okay, so there are two ways you can provide the integration solution. There are two ways you can connect two different systems and and you can communicate between each other. There are two approaches we have: declarative approach, a programmatical approach. When you say declarative approach, your data loader, right? It's a kind of declarative approach. The tool can communicate with Salesforce without doing any programmatical solution, without implementing any programmatical solution. We can able to interact with because it's an inbuilt, it's a tool build which will take care of communicating, interacting with the Salesforce database. So it's a declarative approach, a data loader. Okay, we have different other third-party tools, MuleSoft. Okay, we have Informatica. So these are declaratively you can interact with the Salesforce. What about programmatical solution? The programmatical solution, as a developer, we have to write the code. So how will you write? As a Salesforce developer, you will write the integration solution by using an Apex language. Okay, using an Apex language. So when you write anything programmatically to interact with to connect two different systems with Salesforce with other systems, then it's going to be web service. It's called web service. It's a general term we use to define any programmatical solution you are going to give to connect with other systems. It comes under web service. There are two ways you can connect the systems: declarative approach programmatical approach. Okay, so when you say web service, there are two different ways you can connect the system. One is based on SOAP principle, and another is REST. Okay, so we are going to see it later. What is SOAP and what is REST? How we can write the web service? How we can create the how we can connect the Salesforce with other systems with the help of SOAP and REST. Right? So when two different systems are interacting to each other, then there will be two different types of approach we take: a declarative approach and a programmatical approach. Okay, right? And there will be guidelines we'll follow. There will be guidelines to follow to connect two different systems. Okay, there are some terminology I'd like to give an introduction today. What are the terminologies we are going to use so that people will get an idea about what are the things we are going to cover as part of this session. Okay, so we are going to concentrate a programmatical way how to connect to the system, right? There is nothing to learn in this declarative approach, right? Because it's a tool. Okay, it's a tool. Just you are going to connect the two different systems. There is no customization. Okay, there is no customization required in this declarative approach. So what you are going to concentrate is the programmatically how, as a developer, how we are going to write the web service, how we are going to connect the two different systems, right? And I said when two different systems are going to connect to each other, that should follow some guidelines. Okay, that should follow some guidelines. For example, I have a Salesforce system here, and I have an Oracle system here. So how we are going to connect to, okay, how we are going to interact to each other, right? So there will be a different types of guidelines you will follow. Okay, and the guidelines may be whether you are going to connect based on SOAP method or REST method, and okay, what is the data format, what is the type of, okay, in what language we are going to communicate to each other, in what language we are going to communicate to each other, and whether is a one directional communication, okay, whether Salesforce is going to send the data to the Oracle, or Salesforce is going to send the data as well as receive the data. So one directional or bidirectional, and what is the data format, okay, and what is the authentication you are going to follow, right? When you are logging into a net banking application, then you follow user ID password, right? When you are logging to net banking application, you are going to pass user ID password. Okay, there are some application which will expect only the no, you need to give some security token, right? You'll have some virtual token in your hand. Every time the token will be changed, then you'll give the security token to your to log into the application. So there are different types of authentication. So there are certain rules a system has to follow to communicate between each other, to connect to connect each other. So those guidelines in integration terminology, we call it as protocol. Okay, we call it as protocol. So protocol is nothing but a set of guidelines to connect two systems. A set of guidelines to connect two systems is called protocol. Okay, is referred as protocol. So what are the different types of protocols we have? What are going to concentrate, what are you going to learn as part of this integration course? We're going to learn about HTTP protocol. Okay, and there are some protocols we have. We are going to concentrate in terms of integration. We're going to concentrate HTTP protocol. But what are the protocols we have in general? Some few examples. We have SMTP, we have TCP protocol, okay, and we have SOAP protocol. So there are different types of protocol we have in general. How the two systems follow the guidelines, okay, based on which guidelines we are going to connect the two different systems. Got me? So that's called as a protocol. And when two systems, okay, when you're logging to other different system, then we provide user ID password. Okay, we provide user ID password. We provide some security token. We provide some codes. Okay, and we also follow. Sometimes you'll follow some some fingerprint type of authentication. So that comes under authentication, right? So principles, authentication, and what is the data type we are going to know, in what data type in one data we are going to transfer the data between the two different systems. So these are the things we are going to cover as part of the integration course. Got me? Right. Let's take an example. Right, I have two systems here. A system, okay, server 1, and I have a server 2. Right. Let's take, before I get into the technical part, there are two persons. Okay, so I have a client here. I have a customer here, right? Okay, I have client and customer. So, customer is a person, who speaks English. Okay, the person here who speaks Spanish. So the client is based in Spanish, the customer speaks English, right? So how these two people communicate each other? The client who doesn't know the English, the language, and the customer who doesn't know the Spanish, right? So in that case, a customer cannot communicate with the client with the client language, and the client cannot communicate with the customer with his own language, right? So how to, you can consider like these two are two different systems. So how these two different systems are going to communicate to each other, right? There will be a common language. Common language is required to communicate between each other. There will be some common language is required to communicate between each other, right? So what is the common language two different system is going to follow? That is more important in the case of integration. When you integrate two different system each other, the two different system may be based on any different types of language. For example, server 1 is based on Salesforce, a server 2 is based on Java, a Java based system, right? So we know like Apex, Visual Force page, right? We only communicate in the business language Apex only. But how the Java system will communicate? Java system can only able to read any data in terms of Java, right? So it's a Java based application, Salesforce based application. How these two applications will communicate to each other? Then we need a common language, right? We need a common language in order to let two systems to communicate to each other. We need a common language. Okay, so what happens in real time? How these two different systems are communicating to each other? The systems can be based on any type of language. It can be Apex, or it can be a .NET, or it can be a Java, or it can be Oracle based application. Okay, and any different type of systems, it can be based on any different types of language. Okay, the systems can communicate between each other by following a common language rules. Okay, so what are the common data format? What are the common language data format? In general, two systems are communicating to each other in real time. There are three different formats we have. One is JSON, and we have a format XML, and the systems will also communicate based on text or HTML. Okay, so text or HTML. So you can say in the order, a text or HTML was a format, okay, where the predominantly used in the earlier, in the olden days. Okay, now the two systems are communicating to each other. Okay, move to XML type of data format. Now a JSON is the most frequently used data format. How the two systems are communicating to each other? Okay, there are three formats. Now predominantly we are using JSON, and we also follow XML as well. Okay, in some scenarios, okay, depends upon what type of method you are going to follow, the protocol you are going to follow. In that way, the language that is going to be used to communicate two different systems will also be differ. Okay, right. Anyway, these are the these are two things we are going to cover as part of this session: how to communicate using XML and JSON. We will follow this, right? And what next? The authentication. Okay, I'll come back and give some idea about the the JSON and the XML again, and we'll talk about now authentication. So what are the things we discussed now? We discussed about the protocol and data format. Now we'll see what is authentication. So what are the different types of authentication we have, and what we are going to learn as part of this course. If you take the protocol, there is a typo. Right. In the sense protocol, we are going to learn about HTTP. In the data format, we are going to learn about XML and JSON. Right. We'll discuss about the authentication now. Right. I'm using the a net banking application of HDFC. I'm using the a net banking application of HDFC, and I give the user ID a password. I give the user ID password to log into the net banking application. So what happens now? The request will go to an HDFC server. Request will go to the HDFC server. Okay, right. So this is a general way. Okay, we give the user ID password. Then I connect with my HDFC, a bank server, my bank account. Right, right. What happens here? What happens here? There is a user. Okay, there is a person who is trying to hack my system, hack my password. There is a user who is trying to hack my user ID password. So what happens? Okay, so what happens? My user ID password is being transferred to this system. My user ID password is transferred to the system. So I'm trying to withdraw some 5,000 rupees, and the guy is the guy got my user ID password, then he able to withdraw 50,000. So what happens here? Another system is able to get the user ID password while the data is transferred from one system to another system. So there was a system were able to hack my user ID password, right? So this is where happens. This is what happens in real time when there was no authentication, there was no security, there was no authentication in place. Okay, what happens here? Now I said like a customer, I am not going to log into the net bank application. Then HDFC Bank says we authenticated, we implemented a different process of authentication. Now our application is secured. So how it is secured? Right? I say like as a customer, I say like, no, I'm not confident on, I'm not relying on an HDFC. Okay, I don't find any secure. Okay, I don't find my money is secured and my application is secured. I go to the bank directly and withdraw my money. I'm not going to use my net bank application. Okay, I do not have any confidence on the security things what is being implemented in my net bank application. Then HDFC says no, there is a there is a authentication called a certificate based authentication. A certificate based authentication we are implemented now. So this certificate is nothing but the certificate is going to have a unique certificate. Every bank, every IP is going to get. Okay, every system will have a unique ID, unique IP address, right? So based on IP address, we are going to get the certificate. So SDFC says we purchase the certificate from different vendor. Okay, different vendor. So our IP address is being authenticated by unique certificate ID. Our SDFC bank server is being authenticated by unique certificate ID. So what happens in this case? What happens in this case when I log into the net banking application, when other system is trying to hack my password, then this is from different IP, then my application will ask, show me the certificate. Show me the certificate. Only if the certificate is issued, only the certificate is matched, then only the data will be shared with other systems, right? The certificate is required. So the person doesn't have this certificate, so the data will not be transferred. This is a one way of authentication, right? The certificate based authentication. That's what we are talking about now. Okay, what you are going to learn as part of the authentication topic. Okay, we are going to learn about certificate based authentication, how the two systems are secured, how the system can be secured with help of certificate based authentication. Okay, so in general, what are the different types of authentication? Okay, so these are regular authentication. What is that? User ID password and certificate based. Sometimes we also go with the a key based authentication. Okay, as I said earlier, we'll have some a device which will generate the key automatically, okay, every time the key will be changed. So you give that key to log into the application. Okay, so key based authentication, a user ID based authentication, okay, and certificate based authentication. So what are the different authentication? we are going to learn the certificate based authentication. When you say certificate based, it's going to be SSL or TLS. Okay, SSL is nothing but a secure sockets layer, and TLS nothing but transport layer security. That will be okay. So how two systems can communicate between each other based on a certificate based authentication. Okay, and a key based and we also have a OAuth authentication. So what is OAuth authentication? You might have noticed in your data loader, when you log in using data loader, then the other systems will, okay, the other system has to allow. It's an open type of, okay, it's an open authentication. The other system should accept whether data loader can log into your system or not. So that's a type of authentication. OAuth authentication. Okay, OAuth authentication and key based authentication and a login credentials, right? You'll provide the user ID password. A simple way of authenticating the system. A simple way of, right? How you are logging to your Salesforce organization with just a user ID password, right? So that's your a login credential type of authentication. How you are logging into using a data loader? We go with the user ID password as well as OAuth authentication method. Okay, and there are other ways also you can connect a key based or certificate based. Key based or certificate based also connect. And sometimes you don't provide any authentication at all. It's open to everyone. It's open to everyone, right? If you say your Google search, you search everything, right? It's not going to ask any authentication. You search everything from websites, right? It's a kind of open authentication. So there are different authentication methods. We have to let out how to connect with the other system, how to log into the other system. Okay, so these are things we are going to cover under authentication topic. Okay, right. And when you say web service, when you say web service, say I have Salesforce here, and I have some external system, right? Now the Salesforce going to is going to log into the other system. Okay, whenever the Salesforce needs some information, it's going to log into the other system. For example, okay, take an example. A Salesforce is okay needs some whenever it creates an opportunity. Whenever it's created an opportunity, okay, we add the product for the opportunity. We add some product for the opportunity. So the product cost are stored into the different other system. So where you are going to get the products? The product is from different other system. Whenever the Salesforce is creating within your Salesforce, when you are creating the opportunity, you are going to add the products for the opportunity. Then those product details we are getting from other system. Okay, so what Salesforce will do in this case, whenever we create the opportunity, Salesforce is going to interact with the other system, is going to log into the other system. Am I right? It means the other system has to provide a service to the Salesforce. In this case, another system is going to provide a service to the Salesforce. So in these scenarios where a Salesforce consumes the other system for the data, a Salesforce is going to consumes the other system for the data. In this case, an external system is called as a service provider. An external system is called as service provider, and Salesforce is called as consumer. Am I right? So in this case, the Salesforce is log into the external system and try to get some data. It means Salesforce is going to consume the service that is going to be provided by external system. So Salesforce in this case is called as consumer, and the external system is called as service provider. If the other way, external system is trying to log into the Salesforce to get some data. Whenever the external system is need some data, is going to log into the Salesforce. It requires some service. Then in this case, a Salesforce is going to be a service provider, and external system is going to be a consumer. So there are two concepts that you're going to learn in the in the integration course. How the Salesforce can behave as a consumer, how the Salesforce can behave as a service provider. Okay, how the Salesforce can behave as a consumer, how the Salesforce can behave as a provider. Got me? So we are going to learn about how to write a consumer application, how to write a service provider application. When you write a service provider application, it means what? We are going to provide a service to the external system. The service can be, we can share the account details, we can share the contact details, right? We are providing the service. What service the external system need? They're going to provide the service, right? Whenever the opportunity is created, I would like to share the opportunity to the external system, right? So that's going to be a that's kind of service. And whenever the external system needs some account details, then we get some name of the account, then share all the details to the external system. So those type of communication, those type of service we can provide, or we can also get the service from other system. So how we are going to write a consumer application, how we are going to write the service provider application, these are the two things we are going to learn. And any of these type of application you are going to write, that's going to be based on REST or SOAP. So REST and SOAP are the two principles we are going to learn, based on which we are going to learn about how to write the consumer application, how to write the service provider application. You follow this? Okay. Right. Suppose the two systems are communicating each other, suppose the two systems are communicating each other based on SOAP protocol or SOAP principle. Okay, the protocol or principle nothing but the guideline, right? We are going to follow the guidelines how the two systems are communicating each other. When two systems are integrated to each other, okay, either it's going to be based on SOAP or REST principles. Okay, only these two methods are there, two protocols are there, based on which the two systems are communicating with each other. If the two systems are communicate each other with the help of SOAP principle, then we are going to share the data in the form of digital file. Okay, in the form of digital file. Anyway, we are going to learn about this much more detail as part of the course. Right now, we're just trying to give some introduction. Okay, right. See, for example, Salesforce is a service provider. Salesforce is going to be provide some service to the external system. Okay, so we are going to write some Apex class. We are going to write the web service. I said web service is a term, right? Whenever you write any integration a solution integration, you're going to implement an integration solution to connect two different systems. That's called a web service. That's called web service, right? So you're going to write the web service, right? That's how we refer it. We're going to write the web service in what language? Apex, because Apex is our language. Apex is the language where the Salesforce system is based on, using which we are going to write the web service. Okay, but the other system, maybe a Java based system or a .NET based or Oracle based, may not understand the Apex code, right? Then what we will do in the case of SOAP principle, we write the web service and convert that web service in the form of XML file. Okay, we write this web service and convert this Apex code in the form of XML file. That is nothing but visual. Visual is nothing but a XML type of XML file basically. Okay, then the external system, what this will do, this will convert this visual file into their own native language. Suppose it's going to be a Java based system, then it will convert a visual file to Java. So that's a type of the steps. That's the type of the framework we are going to learn as part of this course. When it is a SOAP based web service, when you are going to learn this SOAP based web service. Similarly, in Salesforce is going to consume any web service that is based on SOAP based web service from the external system. Okay, now we have seen like a Salesforce service provider. So you write the web service based on Apex code, then you convert the web service into a digital file, and the other system will convert the digital into Java. Similarly, if other system is going to provide a SOAP based web service, then Salesforce is going to convert that digital file into Apex language. It's going to convert the digital file into Apex language, right? So okay, here when you say SOAP based, a visual plays a major role. A visual file plays a major role. Okay, so as part of this course, we are going to learn about a visual file format. Okay, what this file is going to actually have, what type of protocols this file is going to have. Okay, so what are the commands, what are the parameters. Okay, we are going to see a detail about visual file, so that okay, when you connect the two system based on SOAP principle, right, these are the prerequisite is required to learn this SOAP based web service, SOAP based integration. Okay, right. Similarly, when you say two systems are going to connect each other based on REST principles. Okay, when you say two systems are going to connect on REST principles, okay, then we are going to learn about, it's going to be URL based web service, right? Say for example, whenever you look for any website, login.salesforce.com, so it is a REST based web service, right? URL based authentication, URL based service. We are not going to share the visual file here. we're going to share an URL. Okay, so basically compared to your SOAP, a REST is the simplest way you can connect the two different systems. Okay, but SOAP basically uh, is a kind of traditional way you connect two different systems, and REST is basically a URL based integration. Okay, right, your REST is a URL based integration. Right, there are other differences between the REST and SOAP. In the case of SOAP, okay, SOAP integration, SOAP based integration. In the case of SOAP based integration, we are going to log in once, and okay, log in once, and with the help of the same, once login authentication is done, we can able to communicate with the systems frequently. Okay, for example, let's take a simple example. I log into the ATM application. I give the user ID pass. I insert my card, and I given my user ID password. Okay, I withdraw some money, right? I use an ATM application. I insert my card, and I give my user ID password. I given my pin, and then I able to withdraw my money. Okay, then I would like to make another transaction, right? Normally you will find an ATM will will display a message at the end whether you would like to make another transaction. Right, there was a time, there are some ATM application will allow you to make an additional transaction without providing user ID password again. Am I right? Without providing user ID password, I can make a multiple transaction. So right, once the authentication is done, I can make a multiple transaction without providing user ID password repeatedly. So that's a type of integration called stateless. Okay, that's a type of integration based on stateless protocol. Okay, stateless protocol. There is no state is maintained. Sorry, stateful protocol. I'm sorry, stateful protocol. So it means once the authentication is done, the state is being maintained. You can make more than one transaction. Okay, more than one transaction you can make with the help of the tokens. Okay, that will be that's a kind of the backend process will happen. That's going to be that we are going to learn detailed as part of this course. So in the case of REST, right, the same similar ATM application sometimes, okay, some ATM application will ask you to re-enter the user ID password if you like to make more than one transaction. So for every transaction, I need to provide the user ID password and swipe the card every time you withdraw the money. So that is basically your REST-based integration, which is nothing but a stateless protocol. A stateless integration is a stateful. A SOAP and REST. Okay, these are some of the differences. Okay, it's based on visual file. It is URL based, and is a stateful and stateless. Okay, so these are things we are going to concentrate more into the the topics when you see this practically, how to connect two different systems based on SOAP and REST. Okay, data format, authentication, right? We learn about the visual and SOAP based integration, REST based integration. In both the cases, we are going to learn about how to write web services, as well as how to consume other web services. Am I right? So it may be based on SOAP, it may be based on REST. So how to write the web service means what? Salesforce is going to provide the service, and how the Salesforce can consume the other web service. So both the cases, it can be a SOAP based or REST based. Am I right? So in the case of right? Before we cover the REST based, the prerequisite, we learn about okay, visual file, much more detail about visual file. And before we get into the writing web service, we learn about the authentication types. Am I right? So as part of this demo, we'll also see practically, okay, what are the different ways of authentication, how the two different systems can be authenticated to each other with a different authentication method, right? What are the authentication method? Maybe certificate based, right? Certificate based OAuth authentication, okay, and open authentication, right? No authentication, right? And login credential, right? So these are the authentication methods. When I say data format, yes, of course, key based as well. When you say data format, okay, we're going to concentrate about JSON and XML. Why it is so important? Because when, right, why the data format, learning about the data format is so important, right? So the system, right? Okay, right. Your system one is nothing but your SFDC, for example. You consider like this, right? So okay, right. You consume the Excel system service. The Excel system send the data in the form of JSON. Okay, I said like JSON and the XML are the two ways, two data format. Okay, the language, how the two systems are communicate to each other, a JSON or XML, right? When the Excel system is share the information to JSON, then it is our responsibility to convert the JSON to Apex. Am I right? To Apex. Am I right? If the Excel system is send the data in the form of XML, then it is our responsibility to convert the JSON XML data into Apex format. Got me? Am I right? So in case if the Excel system is required the data in XML format, then what we will do? We convert our Apex code and we should be able to send the data in the form of XML. So within your Apex, right? Within your Apex, you should be able to build the data in the form of XML string. From your Apex, you should be able to parse the data from XML to Apex. Okay, so we are going to learn about partitioning the string and serializing, deserialize and serialize. You can say serialize and deserialize. So you're going to work on a serializing, okay, and deserializing. So before we get into the the live integration demo, we should have a more clarity on how to work with the JSON and XML type of string, how to convert the JSON to Apex, okay, how to convert the Apex to JSON programmatically, right? Programmatically, how we are going to build the string so that I can share that information to the Excel system. Okay, so these are the three an important thing we'll learn on the as part of this course. Okay, so people got some fair idea about what are things we are going to concentrate as part of this integration course. So data format, because data format is more important to understand how I can communicate with the other system, right? And what is that format I can pass, right? So we are going to write the web service, we are going to write a consumer service, a consumer side application, so that I can consume the other web service. Okay, so Salesforce can behave as a service provider. A Salesforce can also behave as a consumer, right? When a Salesforce is going to behave as a service provider, then we are going to write our web service based on SOAP or REST principle. When you say SOAP, then visual file, right? Visual file is okay, is a way you communicate. Okay, you share the details to the other system, and REST based going to URL based. And when you communicate to other system, there are different types of authentications we are going to follow, right? Certificate based or open credential key based authentication. Okay, so before we get into this topic, this is the order of topic we are going to learn. Okay, we are going to much more detail about, we are going to see JSON, HTML, and we also one more topic. Okay, the protocol HTTP are going to learn. What the importance of HTTP protocol, right? Because I said we are going to learn visual as well as HTTP protocol also are going to learn. Okay, so these are the an overview of the things what you are going to cover as part of the integration session. Right, everyone
Sorry
is good
to
with
interrupt
this?
you, sir.
We got some. I don't get it.
Hello.
What is the question?
Yeah, yeah. My
Hey, go
question
ahead,
is
please.
like in the system one, we'll write a code in Apex. So the coding will convert
Hmm.
into WSGL. That one also we'll write,
In the case
or
of
the
SOAP,
convert.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll write a code for
No,
converting
no,
the
no. Conversion will do it declaratively. Yeah. No, Ajay. Conversion will happen declaratively. That's going to be covered in the part of the course. Yeah, that will be happen automatically. Okay.
Okay, then we'll write the code alone
The
in Apex.
conversion,
We'll
yes.
write the code alone in
The
Apex.
conversion can be done. Yes, exactly. Anyway, I do not want to go into the detail. Anyway, that's going to be covered. But conversion to be mentioned, the conversion part we are not going to do it programmatically. That can be done declaratively. Okay, so there are some part you'll do declaratively, but major part you are going to learn how to write the web service, how to write the an Apex code so that you can consume the other application. Okay, so that involves authentication, that involves a string partitioning. It means you get the data in JSON or XML file, so you should be able to read the data. You should be able to read the nodes of your XML application, XML data. You should be able to read on string. Okay, so before you connect two different systems, you should have a fair idea about how to work with the JSON and XML string, because you get the data in this format. Then a Salesforce, okay, as a developer, we are going to write, we are going to extract the data we need from this XML and JSON string. So that's the first, this part of this session we are going to cover. We are going to start tomorrow. JSON. JSON is a topic tomorrow. Okay. So next to that XML, next HTTP, then authentications, then parallel we'll see the practical way how two different systems can connect each other. So that's a that's the overview of the course. Okay, right. So I believe the time was communicated to all of you. Tomorrow is 7:30 a.m. IST my time, right? So since this today's introduction session, okay, we are winding up an hour time today, but going forward, okay, it's the time is fixed. There won't be any change in timing. Right, going forward. We'll follow this with small break. We'll continue for. We'll follow this Sunday 7:30 a.m. IST. Yes, it's going to be weekend course. Yes. Okay, there won't be any change in timings. This is a fixed timing you're going to follow. Right? Sometimes the session may extend a few minutes, but that's the thing always be there, right? So, but this is a fixed timing we have.
For how
Right.
long it is
So, do you
course?
have any other questions, all of you?
How long is this course, Ranjit?
Ishwar? Yeah, yes, Ishwar. I believe it's 6 to 7 weekends, Ishwar. 6 weekends maybe. Six.
Okay.
And is it going to be
Okay,
the
we'll
same?
try to. So it depends upon how much. how much you are going to cover in particular session, how you proceed forward. So accordingly, we can make it 6 weekends. Sometimes it extend. That's it.
Sir, duration of the class is 1.5 hour, 2 hours tomorrow.
Tomorrow going to be 2 hours because it's okay. Tomorrow is the first day of the technical point, right? So we'll see if you are able to. But this is a timing, fixed timing: 7:30, 8:30, 9:30. So 2.5 hours is how the time is fixed. So tomorrow is the first day, so we'll try to make it shorter session. But going forward, we may connect 2.5 hours and 2 hours on Saturday.
Okay, sir.
Okay then. See you tomorrow, all of you. So we'll start with a JSON string partitioning. Okay, what are the methods available? What is JSON? So that's the session we are going to cover tomorrow.
Is it going to be same
We'll start.
GoToMeeting tomorrow?
Same meeting. Connect with the same link unless you get communicated with a different link.
Okay.
Okay then. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Ranjit.
See you tomorrow.
No, thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ranjit.
Thanks.